Oprah.
This is ABC 7 News at 10, Chicago's #1 news.
Another bizarre fan attack during a White Sox game. Tonight at U.S. Cellular Field, a fan came out of the stands headed toward an umpire. Good evening. Cheryl's off tonight. There was some contact between the umpire and the fan, then players jumped in to protect the ump.
Mark Giangreco joining us right now with more on what happened tonight.
This is absolutely unbelievable, isn't it? Wow. Remember last year, the Royals were in town, an out-of-control father and son team attacked Kansas City first base coach Tom Gamboa. Well, tonight, with the Royals here again, a similar and equally disturbing incident happened in the 8th inning. Carlos Lee fly ball was caught, and then there's the fan running out, jumping first base umpire Laz Diaz. The bench is clear. The Royals try to help the ump, and the Sox rush out as well. Here's another angle from the Kansas City television crew. Meanwhile, there were reports of streakers running onto the field at least 3 different times during the game. Very rowdy crowd at U.S. Cellular tonight. I don't know if there was a full moon or what. We've got Jeff Blanzy on the way to the ballpark. We hope to speak to him live from the ballpark with reaction to all of this and more information as to why something like this would happen again. I'm telling you, this is going to change the whole way fans view baseball games. There's going to be more rules, more restrictions.
But we think the ump is okay.
It appears that the umpire, Laz Diaz, is all right. It doesn't look like he was punched or kicked or sustained any serious injury.
Hope to get more from Jeff.
So bad.
Right.
Okay.
Thanks, Mark.
Thanks. Now we're going to move on to that stunning announcement today that will change the face of Illinois politics. A political scramble is on tonight to find a candidate to replace U.S. Senator Peter Fitzgerald. He announced today he will not seek a second term. ABC 7's Rob Johnson joining us with more on the decision and the fallout. Rob.
Kathy, just about every politician we spoke to today expressed genuine surprise over Fitzgerald's announcement, claiming that he wasn't able to spend enough time with his family and that running a grueling campaign would preclude him from his senatorial duties. Peter Fitzgerald announced he won't be seeking re-election. For the state GOP, which endured a disappointing election season, it means finding a strong Republican to win back Fitzgerald's seat. Peter Fitzgerald's ascension to the U.S. Senate in 1998 came after defeating a scandal-scarred Carol Moseley Braun. Today, Fitzgerald announced he will be a one-term senator, saying the cost of the race was too high. But for a man who spent millions of his personal fortune to get elected, he wasn't talking about the money.
For close to 11 weekends in a row this past winter, I was away from my own family as I held town hall meetings and delivered speeches all across Illinois.
On no less than 5 occasions, Fitzgerald referred to the difficulty a Republican faces getting elected in an increasingly Democratic state. Not wanting to endure a nearly 2-year campaign, Fitzgerald now will focus solely on the legislative process, not the quest for re-election.
I would essentially lose the last 2 years of legislation, which is my joy.
Fitzgerald will perhaps be most remembered for bringing in an outsider as U.S. Attorney Patrick Fitzgerald, no relation, and threatening a filibuster of the $6.6 billion O'Hare expansion, effectively killing the deal. Today we heard from his 2 primary O'Hare adversaries, Mayor Richard Daley and senior Senator Dick Durbin.
But frankly, as long as he's there, basically saying that he's going to be an obstacle and a filibuster, I'm not going to
issue, and one issue can work with anyone. I've proven that.
So now the race to replace Fitzgerald begins in earnest. One Republican mentioned as an early frontrunner, Jim Edgar. Tonight in Springfield, the former governor addressed such speculation.
I had no plans at this point to be a candidate for anything. They asked me if I would at least not say no. I said I won't say no today.
So while the former governor apparently will take time to decide, what he does will determine which Republicans will get into an increasingly crowded field. Edgar says if the president asked him personally to run, that would weigh heavily with him when it comes time to decide. And Ron and Kathy, Peter Fitzgerald had a poignant moment today when he was talking about going to his son Jake's Little League baseball game. He said his son, first at bat, hit a home run over the center field fence. He said he needs more moments like that in his life.
Don't we all?
Indeed.
Thanks, Rob.
Okay, thanks, Rob. And former Governor Edgar tonight is not the only name that's being mentioned in the race to replace Fitzgerald. Possible GOP contenders include State Treasurer Judy Barr Topinka, Former Illinois Attorney General Jim Ryan, former Lieutenant Governor Corinne Wood, others who recently ran for political office like James Oberweis, Patrick O'Malley, or Jim Durkin may be interested. And of course, there's Illinois Congressman Mark Kirk. Kirk, though, says he doesn't have time to be a candidate because he's going on active duty with the U.S. Navy. That starts later on this week.
Democratic contenders started lining up last year. They include State Controller Dan Hines, Cook County Treasurer Maria Pappas, State Senator Barack Obama, former Chicago School Board President Gary Chico, and a wealthy businessman, Blair Hull.
U.S. commandos fighting the war with Iraq have captured one of the world's most notorious terrorists. He is Abu Abbas, the leader of the Palestinian group that killed an American on the hijacked cruise liner Achille Lauro back in 1985. Also today, coalition forces are still trying to restore law and order as well as basic services, and dozens of Iraqis met to begin creating a new government. ABC's Jeff Morrell is live at the command center in Doha tonight with the late developments. Jeff?
Kathy, the arrest of Abu Abbas seems to confirm what the U.S. government has long alleged, that Saddam Hussein not only had ties to terrorists, but harbored them as well. Iraq's new government has not yet been formed, but those organizing it have already embraced in democracy, and they have renounced political violence. The future of Iraq may have been conceived in this simple tent. At the invitation of the United States, 75 Iraqi leaders came to the biblical city of Ur to begin forming a new government. This is the first of many meetings, but there is already agreement among these diverse groups that Iraq must be a democracy, and Iraqis must choose their leaders, not have them imposed by outsiders.
On behalf of the United States, and I think I speak for the coalition, that we have no interest, absolutely no interest in ruling Iraq.
In nearby Nasiriyah, thousands of Shiite Muslims, whose leaders boycotted the meeting, took to the streets in protest. They chanted, "Yes, yes to Islam, no to America and Saddam." Another anti-American rally in the northern city of Mosul turned deadly when the hostile crowd threw stones at an Iraqi opposition leader who was praising the Americans. U.S. troops reportedly felt threatened and opened fire, killing 10 people. In Baghdad, U.S. Marines went door to door in the Palestine Hotel, where many journalists and Marines are staying, after getting a tip it may be a target for terrorists. In a raid on a home outside of Baghdad, U.S. Special Forces captured one of the world's most notorious terrorists. Palestinian Abu Abbas is wanted for hijacking the Italian cruise ship Achille Lauro in 1985, and for the murder of an American Jewish passenger named Leon Klinghoffer. He was shot and killed and then pushed overboard in his wheelchair. Saddam Hussein's fate remains unknown. U.S. commanders were hopeful last week's bombing of this Baghdad neighborhood killed the Iraqi leader. But when ABC News visited the site, neighbors said Saddam and his sons were in this safe house when the 4 bombs fell and survived the attack.
My friend saw Saddam Hussein. I saw just Hussein.
U.S. officials say the bombs hit the precise target their sources told them to strike, but that, it turns out, based upon what neighbors are telling ABC News, was just off by about 50 feet. Saddam's safe house sustained no damage. Reporting live from Doha, Jeff Morrell, ABC 7 News. Ron and Kathy, back to you in Chicago.
All right, thanks, Jeff. A 12-year-old Iraqi boy who lost his arms in a missile explosion has now arrived at a hospital in Kuwait City. Ali Ismail Abbas was carried off an ambulance on a stretcher after being airlifted from Baghdad. The boy suffered severe burns in a missile attack that killed his brother, father, and pregnant mother. It's not known for sure who fired the missile, but Iraq was under heavy American bombardment at the time. Several charities from around the world have offered to help with the boy's expenses.
Still ahead here tonight, the disappearance of Lacey Peterson and what investigators have learned about that body that washed ashore.
Also, the big vote that may determine whether American Airlines declares bankruptcy.
And the fight over cell phone numbers and whether customers can keep them when they switch their service.
This is Lion Power. You need a couple of million to make something happen with your business? No problem. You've already made it happen, and you want some good advice on what to do with the money? That's a specialty of ours. You haven't decided yet what you're going to do with your life. Well, you're still going to need a good bank. Come on in to Harris, Chicago's hometown bank, with the easy-to-remember name because it's been the same name for almost 100 years. Lion Power. It's there when you need it.
All right, everybody, let's come to the table.
From generation to generation.
You're a much better father than I was.
From father to son.
But you didn't exactly set the bar all that high.
This family can survive anything as long as they have each other. Michael Douglas, Kirk Douglas. It runs in the family. Rated PG-13. Starts Friday, April 25th at theaters everywhere.
Believe me, I know this place like the back of my hand.
The Saturn Vue comes standard with four-wheel independent suspension.
This is it. You're gonna love
Split folding rear seats for more cargo space.
Excuse me.
Check it out.
And dent-resistant side panels.
I'm cool.
The Saturn Vue. Get in, get away. Get the 2003 Saturn Vue for 0% APR. For restrictions, see your retailer.
Hello, I'm Judy Sue.
And I'm Jose Sanders. Tomorrow, the treatment that's helping children with lazy eye get rid of their glasses.
Plus ideas for adding new flavor to some classic recipes.
I'm Tracy Butler. Say goodbye to our very warm weather. We'll talk about that.
No!
Yes!
All that pleasure travel time starting at 5 a.m.
ABC 7 News at 10 continues with Ron Majors, Kathy Brock, Cheryl Burton, weather with meteorologist Jerry Taft, and sports with Mark Giangreco.
Federal agents said they've broken up a major drug ring. It operated from Canada into the United States and right into the Chicago area. The raids on suspected dealers turned to gunfire in Oak Lawn. Police say Abdul Qadar Mizyed was shot when he pointed a handgun at officers. Mizyed and his father were among a dozen people arrested here. Agents seized 17 million tablets of pseudoephedrine. That's an ingredient used to make methamphetamine. Mizyed reported in fair condition tonight at Advocate Christ Medical Center. Those arrested face various charges from money laundering to drug trafficking.
Investigators are now saying that it will take days, perhaps even weeks, to determine whether two California bodies are linked to the Laci Peterson case. The Modesto Sheriff's Department said there was